Good afternoon, everybody. And just as technology would work, I would think this is a Monday, but it's actually a Tuesday. We are having some major technological difficulties, and for once, they're not my fault. They're nobody's fault. But usually I screw something up when we do something like a webinar technology-wise. So I'm just going to let you know if something happens during this, we will reschedule. But we're going to jump in and give it a whirl. So again, I'm Amy Quicker with the CEO of the Lake Superior Community Partnership, and welcome to Partner Perspectives with Roxanne Daust. Partner Perspectives introduces the community to our LSCP board members, giving them the opportunity to hear an update of what's going on in their profession, in their sector, regarding the current crisis and everything else. I'm not going to give a few more minutes because you guys have probably been logged on longer than we have, but I'm just going to get started, and I just want to go over a few housekeeping items. If you are participating in today's event, you're listening in computer speaker system by default. If you would prefer to join over the phone, just select telephone on the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed. You will have the opportunity to submit questions by typing them into the questions pane of the control panel. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation, and we will collect those and get those answered at the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Roxanne Daust, President and CEO of Range Bank. Roxanne began her career at Range Bank in 1997 as the Chief Financial Officer, where she was responsible for the finance and operation areas of the bank. She moved into her role as Executive Vice President in 2011 and took on additional operational and administrative duties. She was promoted to President and COO in 2017 and took over the additional Chairman and CEO duties on June 1st, 2018, with the retirement of Ken Palmer. During her 22-plus-year career at the bank, she worked with a team of executive officers to grow assets under management from $68 million to over $800 million. Roxanne is also extremely active in the community, but selfishly to me, very active in the Lake Superior Community Partnership and is my treasurer. Keeps me and Stu, our controller, on our toes for sure. And we just appreciate A, all the work you do for us, Roxanne, and B, your being here for us to talk a little bit about what's happening in banking during these unusual times. Welcome.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? All right. Thank you, Amy. It's great to be here, and I really appreciate you having me.
Hey,
and
no problem.
The first thing Amy wanted me to talk about, and it sounds like everybody on this call has really been impacted by COVID-19 in some way, shape, or form. And many small businesses and individuals continue to struggle and worry about the future. But on a positive note, I do feel like the government aid, such as the increased unemployment and the payroll protection program, paycheck protection program, has helped a great deal. Although I do believe that more is actually needed. There is one thing that in banking that we all look at, and it's delinquency rates. So happy to say that that indicator is very low right now. We're not seeing increases in past due loans. And I feel like that really goes back to how banks and the government have been helping our customers get through this and people of the UP. So one interesting note, I do work with a CEO group, and we meet very frequently. They're all across the UP. And it's interesting how varied this has been for businesses, because some of them are actually having their best year ever. There's some businesses that sell travel trailers or bikes. They're actually running out of supply. And then there's others such as restaurants and bars that are really struggling a lot. So, you know, the thing about banking is that we really are trying very hard to help our customers get through that. And I'm amazed at how the businesses have adapted to the changes. I mean, they are doing things a different way. They're during curbside pickup. If you try to go to a drive-through, they're 10 deep in most places. So it's just been interesting to see how businesses have adapted. And one key indicator in the Upper Peninsula is tourism. Our bank was very worried at the beginning of this that the summer tourism would not happen. And I realize there's risks with that we need to take with people coming to the UP, but it's very important for us to have tourists here because that really drives our economy. And that's been going very well. I do feel that we're the perfect place for people to go to enjoy some outdoor activity. We have a lot of open spaces. It's a perfect destination, and that's been happening. People have been coming here. They haven't been flying, but they've been driving here, which has been very helpful to our economy. I do, however, see some headwinds with the pandemic because it's hard to say what's really going to happen in the future. The economy can be tough, and also there could be additional COVID-related shutdowns, which will really impact the UP and the economy. So I'm hoping that we can see some additional government aid, and banks are continuing to support our businesses through this hard time also.
Yes, thank you for that. A lot of positives in there, which I always try to glom onto. But then again, as you mentioned at the end, a lot of uncertainty because we've never dealt with this before. But a couple things that I picked out that you were talking about. First and foremost, the businesses that you've worked with, similar to us in economic development, and we work with a lot of the same businesses. You've heard crushing stories of people and their businesses, and then you've heard the other side where they can't keep inventory in stock. It's just kind of shifted in a sense, but the PPP program was huge, and I agree with you. I think that if additional dollars can be put in those funds and keep those opportunities available, and also the streamlined process that was created, a lot of this, not saying that there's not any hoops to jump through, but the work that regulators did to try and streamline the process to get the money in the doors of the businesses as soon as possible. I would love to see a lot of that stay put as we're moving forward. Can you talk a little bit about the amount of money we're talking about in the Upper Peninsula, or that you've worked with the PPP? Because I know the banks have been incredibly busy, and that was one part. And then part two is, now it's going to start on the forgiveness side. So I don't see the work ending for you.
No, it definitely isn't. I feel like the forgiveness part is the most important part for our businesses because we really need them to have forgiveness. We need them to have these loans switched into grants. And that's what we're just starting to work on right now. I've been disappointed, honestly, in the legislature because we were hoping to have loans that were under $150,000 actually be automatically forgiven and not have to go through the process of asking for forgiveness and filling out the paperwork. But it seems like things have slowed down, and so we're continuing to work on it and continuing to wait for that. As far as the numbers, we don't have all of the numbers tallied for the UP yet, but I can tell you that the Community Bankers Association has been working to get that tally, and this is amazing. I feel like that the number of businesses that have helped in the dollar amount. The first round of the PPP actually had $285 million go to the UP, and they're also estimating that an additional $150 million went on the second round. So that's a total of over $400 million that have been put into the UP economy to continue to help it run. So it's amazing that the government is usually pretty slow at things, but I can tell you that they actually put this whole thing together in 6 days. I mean, that's unheard of for the legislature, and it's obvious that there are flaws, and it isn't a perfect program, and I wish it would have been a little bit different. We're still trying to get answers on some things regarding forgiveness, but it certainly is better than not having this, because I can tell you that if this support wasn't put forth by the legislature and the Treasury, a lot of businesses would not be open right now. So it's been great to have this support. More is needed. I feel like more is needed, and they're working on that, but they've gotten back to the slow pace of things, sorry to say.
Darn, I was kind of hoping all the red tape was falling to the ground and wasn't going to get picked back up again, since, you know, they were moving at the speed of business for a while, basically. And that's an incredible amount of money shot into the Upper Peninsula during a very, very critical time. But, you know, as you mentioned, we're not over this. We're not out of the woods because we don't know where the woods end, basically. But you are also running a business, a major employer here. So you, on top of all of this, you know, you dealt with being essential and frontline and having to, you know, to meet the needs of your customers, but also your employees. How did you manage all of that? And you know, what was kind of the process that you looked at, you know, having frontline individuals?
Well, first of all, I feel like you always have to have your main focus when it comes to this. And our main focus was always on protecting our employees and protecting our customers. So when you look at it that way, you have to do things differently. And the nice part about this is that we really had the infrastructure in place. We had the IT infrastructure so that we could shift our employees from working in offices to working from home. And that was critically important because when COVID hit, we were actually busier than we were before and having to do everything in a different way. So it's been an interesting time, but we were considered critical infrastructure. We remained open for business. We just had to serve our customers in a different way. And some of the ways that we did that is we pretty much met our customers where they needed to be. I mean, we would do mortgage closings through our drive-through. We do it in the parking lot. We've sent paperwork through email, just any way that we can help our customers get through this time. And we've also had the technology in place that our customers wouldn't feel the impact so much. So a lot of the things that they typically come into the bank to do have switched to doing things through digital banking means. And the infrastructure was already in place, so it really wasn't a huge shift. Some of our customers had to start learning how to use new technology, but I think that what's happened during this is that they found that this technology is working, and I just don't see the traffic in our lobbies going back to where they were before. So just a lot of interesting things going on right now.
Well, and that would be my follow-up question is, you know, as people now have had to adjust and pivot to more digital, I have a husband who still gets his paper check from Cleveland Cliffs. He's probably in the 1% that does that, and he likes to go to the bank every day and that kind of a thing. He didn't adjust well to this, but again, a lot of people have had to adjust. And what does banking look like in the future? Do you see this as shaping, you know, the next what we'll do with banking?
I do see it looking different in the future, and it's hard to really say, but I do see that there's more than likely to be less branch offices. If our customers don't want to go into a branch office and they can do their banking other ways, then, you know, we'll shift to investing more money into technology. And I think that that's the key point. And this is really kind of forced our customers to do things differently. And I don't think that they're going to want to come into the branch office as much. Obviously, I feel like customer service at a community bank level is hugely important. So we'll always answer our phones. We'll always help customers where they want to be. And I think that's the key point is what we need to do as a business, and what every business needs to do is figure out how that they can meet their customers where they want us to be and not where we want them to be. So just listening to our customers and listening to what they need and want to do banking with us is going to be the key. Yeah,
well, and then you have the younger generation that does everything digitally. You know, I mean, they probably have never been in a bank. Some of them, they do everything online. But that leads to the next point. A lot of those that are hesitant to do some of that, and I'll use my parents or my husband as an example, they're uncomfortable because they're concerned about fraud or theft or identity theft and things like that the minute that they start using something that's digital or technology based. How do you help somebody feel comfortable, or how do we protect ourselves?
Well, I think the key with that is having layers of security. I don't feel like you can just have one layer of security and feel comfortable with that, but you have to have strong passwords. I think that that's a key. And also just freezing your credit, making sure that nobody actually goes into your account without you knowing about it or not being able to set up a file. I do think as far as security goes, our social security numbers are really the master key to gaining information, personal information. So that needs to be really be huge. And we also, for our business customers, we have multi-layered security. For them, basically, we have certain times of the day that we don't allow our customers to go into their business banking in the middle of the night. That's usually where the fraudsters go. They know that nobody's watching. So we also can nail it down to certain IP addresses. If you're not at that actual computer, then the system will not let you in. We have a little key fob that the number changes constantly. So they'll have their strong passwords, and then they will have to have that key fob and put that information in when they do want to access their information. If they don't have it, they can't get in. So there's so many multi-layered security that I feel like that's the key to stopping them.
Wow. So you're saying my password shouldn't be password, basically.
No, it should be, and also it shouldn't be the same password for everything that you do. So, a lot of that really is put onto our customers, because don't keep your password laying out on your desk or next to your computer. I mean, that is something that we highly recommend not doing. You have a ton of passwords nowadays.
I know you need a password for everything, and so that's a really good reminder, I think, to everybody that the onus is on us also to protect ourselves and make sure that we're doing the right steps. So that's a good reminder for me. I think when I get off here, I'm going to go change all my passwords, actually. So I know that a lot of businesses still aren't out of the woods yet, obviously. What if someone is having a problem, say, or it could be from a business perspective or a residential perspective, say with mortgages. Obviously money is practically free, and I'm guessing that you also saw an increase in your mortgage work. But also with that, some folks, aren't back to work, things are happening. So twofold, what are you seeing on the mortgage front? And if people are having trouble paying their mortgage, what can they do?
Well, first of all, I would tell you, if you're having any struggles, please call your financial institution. We are here to help, and we have tools in our toolbox to help. And as a community bank, we really customize how we help based on the situation of our customers. So you're right, rates are so low in mortgages right now. If anybody out there hasn't checked to see if it makes sense for them to do a refinance, I would tell you to check, because it is a good time to refinance. And I feel like that's important for people to have more money in their pockets, to be able to spend it locally and put money into the economy. So it's a good thing to do right now. And we have the nice part about it is our regulators are very in tune with the fact that our customers are struggling, and we really are in tune to our community. We know what's needed in our community, and they are giving us a lot of leeway that they typically wouldn't do, and basically letting us help our customers the way that we want to help our customers. So that's a really positive thing, considering we're highly regulated, and we need to follow the rules that they have put in place with us. So lots of flexibility right now.
Well, that's good. And obviously, the true definition of a community bank is, being part of the community and working with the community. I know we're running up against the end of our half hour here, but we do have one more question that I think is a good place to end. Is the coin shortage still a thing?
It is getting better, but it is still a thing. Yes. We have been getting enough to service our customers, but we always need more. And what we're doing is we're basically, when we get coin in, we're rolling it ourselves and redistributing it out there. The fact that people weren't putting money in their meters in downtown, it's just amazing how those things can actually work out and with this shortage. And also the Federal Reserve has been having a lot of people work from home, so they're not in their office making more coin and rolling the coin. So it is still a thing, but it's getting better.
That's so fun. That was always so funny to me to hear that, because we went from, toilet paper shortages to coin shortages. And I don't know about you, but I would have never predicted necessarily either in this whole pandemic. Roxanne, I do want to thank you very much for taking time to be with us today. I think it's so helpful, for people to get to know our board members, that are our leadership in the partnership, but also each sector. And this is our third one so far, and just having an informal conversation basically about what your industry is seeing, what you're seeing boots on the ground in this particular instance in banking, because we've all been dealing with so much, yet we haven't been able to necessarily get together often, other than meetings and lots of Zooming to talk through things. But we do have an answer for that at the partnership, because on September 17th, we are going to have our very first virtual business after hours. Lots of folks are, asking about that. It was a huge networking event for us. We were doing 2 a month, 100 to 150 people averaged. And I know people are really wanting to get out there and see everybody. And since we can't necessarily do that yet, we thought we would give a virtual BAH a try. So you'll be getting more information on that. And hopefully the opportunity again for people to start talking cross sectors and out of meetings as to what's going on in everybody's lives, and getting to know each other once again. So again, thank you, Roxanne. I appreciate it very much. And for all of you that took time to spend a part of your lunch hour with us, we really appreciate it. Again, I apologize for the technological difficulties on the front end. Best laid plans, of course. But again, tune in next time for our partner perspectives. You'll be getting more information on who's up next. Thank you and have a great day.